Welcome back, listeners, and welcome to the Starting Grid podcast where we discuss Formula One race reviews and news. This week, we're here to talk about the German Grand Prix that just happened. I'm your host, as always, Malik Durajai, and with me,
it's Calvin. Welcome.
Yeah, so let's jump right into it because we got a lot to discuss because it was a crazy race.
Super exciting race,
right? I want to start with let's jump straight into the race. We're going to skip practice and all that jibber jabber and go straight into qualifying.
Yeah, the track completely changed from practice to.
Well, no, qualifying was still was the same, but qualifying was not so great for Ferrari.
But it might as well have been a brand new week.
True, not so great for Ferrari and great for Mercedes, and then the race was not so great for Mercedes and great for half of Ferrari.
Yeah, half of Ferrari.
So, qualifying Q1. Let's start there. We had Vettel.
Yeah.
Not being able to set a time because he had some turbo issues.
So, I had a lot going on during qualifying. What did it come down to? What was the main issue?
His turbo was not working. I'll just put it that. I don't know the details of it.
So I saw him take a couple laps, or
nope.
Not a lap, but he got out on the track.
Nope.
And drove around once and went right into the pits.
Nope.
Took the cowling off. Are you sure?
He might have driven around once, but he never.
Yeah. No, he went in. They parked, and then as soon as he parked, they started taking it.
So he never got a lot. He was on his out lap, maybe.
Yeah.
And because he technically, I think, because he didn't take place in qualifying.
Yeah, he never crossed the
start finish, right? And so because of that, the stewards had to make a decision to either allow him or not allow him to race because they have that qualifying time set basically where it says if you're not within 110% of the fastest time, then you can't race.
Okay.
If you don't set a time, if you don't even participate, then it's up to the steward's discretion. But obviously they're not going to keep Vettel. I mean, that would piss a lot of people off if they're like, "Yep, nope, you can't race."
Yeah, definitely not. Maybe if there was like 30 or 35 drivers or something.
Right. So. We had that issue for Vettel in qualifying. The other things that kind of went wrong for people in qualifying was Lando Norris and Albon both not being able to. They got a lap in, but I think they were aiming for another lap, essentially, because they were both out in 16th and 17th, so they fell out in Q1. And that's uncharacteristic for the McLaren this season, right? To be out in Q1, especially for
the McLaren,
it's uncharacteristic for the McLaren to be out in Q1. I mean, they've been qualifying 6th, 7th, 8th.
Oh, I was confused. I thought you said Albon a second ago.
So Albon and Norris.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I gotcha.
And then for Toro Rosso,
Albon,
sometimes they're out in Q1. They make it into Q2. Of course, they usually make it into Q2, but. Albon was blocked by Norris.
Yeah.
And Norris, I think, was blocked by someone else. So Albon understands it's not Norris's fault because he was also trying to go for his fastest lap or get ready for his hot lap.
Yeah, Norris was trying to get on the power when
Albon was finishing. Yeah. So I think that's what Norris was trying to go while Albon was finishing, and that kind of messed up Albon's lap, and then Norris didn't get to set another lap after that or something like that. So they were both out in Q1, which was unfortunate for Lando Norris because I always have high hopes for him. I want to see him at the front.
Oh, yeah.
Battling away with Gasly, basically.
Yeah, you got to like the guy.
Yeah.
I hope he does well.
Yeah. So then we had out in Q2, we had...
Norris was he was 18th, right? Or
16th.
16th?
16th. And Albon was 17th. And then George Russell, Robert Kubica, and then Vettel.
Okay. Did he take a penalty or anything? Because he
did.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say he started right next to Vettel.
He switched out a new MGUK.
Okay.
And so that put him back in 19th place. But I think it gave him a 5-place grid drop. But because Vettel didn't even
put a time
take place, they kept him at the back no matter what. And I think Vettel also did some engine upgrades as well. Can't remember what they were. So that gave him some grid drops as well, but he was starting from the back if you're going to start from the back, you might as well start switching stuff up.
Yeah, put some new stuff on there.
Yeah, which is what they should have done for Ricardo, but we'll get into that a little later. Q2, out in Q2, we had Antonio Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen, Daniel Ricciardo, Daniel Kvyat, and Lance Stroll. So that was our Q2 out people. Not much happening there. I mean, Ricciardo, you kind of expect him to be a little higher, so not sure what was going on there. He was driving an older spec engine.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't want to push it too hard.
Yeah. And then Q1 is when some more drama happened, where Charles Leclerc wasn't able to set a time.
Yeah, Ferrari.
Yeah, bad weekend or bad qualifying for Ferrari.
Well, this is not the first time either that this has happened this season with some kind of mechanical issue with their car during qualifying.
Right. So his was a fuel system issue, so it didn't allow him to do anything during that qualifying session. So that was unfortunate. So now Ferrari had a guy that was starting in 20th and another one starting in 10th. And technically, their number one driver was the one in 20th, so not looking good for them going into the race, especially when during all of the practices, they were 1-2 for P1, 1-2 for FP2, and 1-3 for FP3, with Verstappen being the person between them. And actually, Charles Leclerc outpaced Vettel in almost every practice except for the first one. So, not looking great, but that gave Hamilton the go-ahead pole position, which a lot of people felt like was undeserved. A lot of people were always saying it's undeserved, but that time
he put in.
Yeah, exactly. He still set.
He was almost
a fast time.
Almost a half a second faster than the next person.
Than Verstappen. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, obviously with Leclerc in there. Let's see. So Hamilton set a Q3 time of 1:11.7.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And in FP3, Leclerc had a 1:12.38, FP2 a 1:13.4, and FP1 a 1:14. So arguably, even if the Ferraris were competing, if they were competing in qualifying, that still would have been a hard time. Like, it's not like they were a shoe-in for pole position, because Hamilton is Hamilton. He's never going to let it go easily. So
yeah, exactly. And then Verstappen, I think the takeaway from qualifying was how well Verstappen did. To still come in second place at the beginning of that lap where he set that time, like the back end got out a little bit on him and he made a mistake. So I mean that cost him, a couple tenths right there.
Yeah.
So he was definitely on his game. If it wasn't for that mistake, I wonder where he would have ended up. That would have been good to see. But
that's true. Also, didn't someone else make a tiny mistake? I think it was it Grosjean? No, I think might have been Magnussen. Or
yeah, but at this point,
I'm not sure. There was
from Haas
there was something else. There was
expected.
There was someone else that just had a little bit of wheel spin, and it caused them to either drop out of qualifying or cost them a position on the front row. Maybe it was Bottas, because Bottas was only a couple thousandths off of Hamilton. Off of Verstappen. So
yeah, they were neck and neck.
Yeah. So anyways, top 10 or starting 10 was Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, Pierre Gasly, Kimi Räikkönen, Romain Grosjean, Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, Nico Hülkenberg, and then Charles Leclerc in 10th place. So Carlos Sainz putting the McLaren up there in 7th place. Haas, Romain Grosjean qualifying in 6th, and he had the old spec engine. Magnussen had the new spec, so they were doing a comparison test, and I think it was clear from the overall race weekend that the old spec was doing better than the new one. So, that's that. Pierre Gasly qualifying 4th, though. That's awesome, but that's because Vettel and Leclerc were both out.
Yeah, he would have been 6th.
Yeah, he would have been last as usual. So, Anyways, is it time to get into the race?
Let's get right into it. I mean, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's always exciting when you have a dry qualifying, a dry F practice, and then a wet race.
Yeah,
Because it just no one knows what to do. When they've had zero practice on the track with wet tires or intermediate tires, because it didn't rain at FP1 or 2 or 3, right? Not to my knowledge. So
I don't think so.
they had to go in there cold turkey with new cars, new tire, all kinds of crazy, different tire compounds from last season. So it was just going to be a mess when it started raining.
And then first wet race of the year as well. So
Oh, it was, because China didn't rain.
Yeah, zero experience on the rain. And some of these drivers is zero experience in the rain whatsoever.
Yeah, I think Albon is one that didn't have any experience.
Yeah.
So, pretty insane start to the race. I mean, they took a couple laps around with a safety car just to get a feel for it, which a lot of drivers are complaining about. Mm-hmm. And then when the race started, I think by lap 2, all hell started to break loose.
Yeah. After that, the first half of the race was crazy.
The first half and the last 10. Actually, it was the safety car was out so many times. Actually, is there a stat on how many times the safety car came out? I guess it was six times, right? Because it was 6 or 7 times. Because 7 drivers went out.
Yeah, either 7 times with an actual safety car or virtual.
I think it might have been 6 for the actual safety car, and then the virtual was one of those.
Yeah,
one of those was virtual. It might have been Lando Norris because I think he pulled off to a safe spot, or maybe Pierre Gasly. So it might have been 5 safety cars.
Yeah, Gasly was in the runoff there.
Yeah, he pulled way off to the side. But anyways, just on lap 2, we had Sergio Perez spinning on lap 2 in turn 10. That was not. It wasn't the place where most people spun, so I think he was the only person that actually spun in that spot. Mm-hmm. And then
he just kicked it off.
Yeah,
I think they all started on the full wets, right?
Yeah.
So
and then he kicked off all the pit stops. Actually, he might be the cause for all the craziness that happened afterwards. Because had that safety car not happened, they would have run longer on the wet tires and made a better, more informed decision on when to go on intermediates, when to go on softs, mediums, hards. So, but because of that, every team starts to take a gamble. Like, all right, this might be the moment to get a free pit stop to put on intermediate tires, to put on soft tires. Mm-hmm. I think maybe one team went with mediums.
I think the first pit stop they all went
intermediate or wet.
Intermediate. Okay. And then got rid of the full wets. Because
some people stayed out,
to dry out a little bit.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, some people did stay out. And then it wasn't until the next round of pit stops that people went with the soft or the medium. So
right,
which was that was awesome to see. Everyone in the pit lane
doing something different and craziness,
diving in, and it was awesome. Like orchestrated chaos.
Yeah,
it was fun to watch.
Surprisingly, during that, I don't know if it was that pit stop or one of the next ones, but surprisingly, Leclerc did not pick up a unsafe release penalty. Actually, they fined the team.
Yeah, they fined Ferrari,
which I thought was PS, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's a lack of consistency because didn't we? I don't remember who it was, but earlier in the season we had an unsafe release, and it's even more unsafe in a wet race. Because they have even less control over their cars. And Grosjean clearly had to slam on his brakes.
Yeah.
And they fined the team instead of giving a time penalty to the driver. I thought that was I don't know who they gave the time penalty to in the past, but I thought that was kind of BS by the stewards to not.
Yeah. And a team like Ferrari, they don't care. They'll pay fines all day. They have so much money, and then yeah, that's not going to hurt them at all. They're going to keep doing it.
That's what they were saying. They were like, if it was just a fine every time, like, oh, yeah, unsafe release all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Put everyone's life in danger.
Exactly. I think and when we get to the news, I think I have a story on the stewards. Them changing up what they were doing throughout this race compared to what they've been doing the rest of the season. So.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, they were changing up a little bit this race. So, right after that, 5 laps later, Daniel Ricciardo, well, he didn't spin out, but he had an engine failure. He was using a Spec 1 engine, as I alluded to earlier. So I'm not sure why they didn't switch his engine up yet, but he used an older engine, and it basically just took a crap.
Yeah, they probably thought they can get one more race out of it, but it didn't pay off. But, I mean, the reliability of Renault, isn't he already down an engine?
They both are.
Yeah, so I think his second spec engine had blown up earlier in the season. So yeah. So I mean that makes sense. They took that gamble. They're trying to make their last engine last a little bit longer, but
it didn't work out for them.
That's not. You don't want to be playing with that. I would almost take another engine later in the season, but
I did read that they were trying to give him a new engine for Hungary, which they're going to have to do now. But
I mean, they're going to end up taking that penalty anyway. I don't think they wanted to do it this way. Yeah, they're going to take that engine penalty anyway at some point during the season. You got to throw it in the box. They're going to take that engine penalty anyway at some point during the season. So why not just use it at the beginning of this season or this race? And I mean, because they ended up DNFing anyway. So.
Right. Both cars.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. So after Ricciardo was out, just 12 laps later, Lando Norris retired from a loss of power on his engine. Not sure what happened there or why that. I haven't gotten an explanation for that one.
Yeah, it wasn't science. He crashed later, right?
No, he didn't crash at all.
Oh, he didn't?
Why are you wishing ill will upon the McLaren team?
Oh, I thought he would have. I thought he would definitely be up in the top then.
He was. He finished in. Where did Carlos Sainz finish? He finished in 5th place.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so the highest finishing position, I think, this season for McLaren.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, we're getting a little sidetracked.
So Lando Norris had his engine loss, and then just 2 laps later, probably the second to worst thing that could have happened, minus Verstappen crashing out, is Leclerc. Leclerc spinning out, or not even spinning out. He just lost traction and went onto the drag strip. He went onto that drag strip, which looked like just pure oil. Yeah. Like that water on it just looked like oil. And anybody who touched it, they were off into the gravel. At the least, they were into the gravel. And he went all the way into the wall. He got stuck. He didn't damage his car, but he got beached. I think he tried to power it too hard and just beached himself, and he was stuck. He tried to reverse. He was trying like crazy to get that thing out.
Looks like he should have tried to reverse first rather than try to power through.
Yeah, it did not go well for him, and I think a lot of people were upset by that. It was not good, and I think he was running probably in. I don't know what place he was running. There was too many pit stop confusion, craziness going on.
I think he was in a good position. He was up there.
Yeah,
he was definitely in a good spot.
Had that not happened, he definitely would have been first because only Verstappen finished the race.
Yeah,
as far as
definitely
the top.
had a faster car.
Exactly. Then we had Nico Hülkenberg beaching at the same exact corner, lap 41. So then I guess there was a lull for only about 11 laps actually, 29 to 41. So 12 laps.
Yeah.
And then we had Hülkenberg going off at the same spot.
So what lap is this?
41.
So 40. Okay. So I think lap like 28 or so. Is that when Leclerc beached his?
29.
Yeah, 29. So then everyone starts pitting.
Right.
And then the track is starting to dry out, and they're thinking, let's put on some soft tires. And everyone goes in there for either softs or mediums, and they get back out on the track. Track's still not,
or intermediates.
Yeah, the track's still not dry enough. Skidding all over the place. I think Verstappen had that radio call with them sliding all over the place. Yeah,
because he spun around as well, but he managed to keep it on the track. But he did do a little pirouette in the final corner. That penultimate and the final corner was a problem for everybody, and the first corner.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, actually, the first corner was only a problem for Mercedes. Yeah. But everybody else had a problem at turn 15, 16, I think is what it is for that. Is it 15? Yep, 15 or 16, 17. Sorry.
Yeah, Mercedes liked that wider line where it wasn't as dry. And then I think towards the end of the race when they kept going out that way, and they were the only ones taking that.
Yeah, it didn't work out for him.
Yeah, it's still too wet.
So that is what happened, I guess. So lap 41, Hulkenberg's out. And then so before we get to who the next two drivers that went out, like you said, it was after Leclerc and Hulkenberg went out, there was like so much switching around.
I think there's
tires going
four
off.
pit stops for some teams at that point already.
Hamilton has 6 pit stops.
Yeah.
So I think 5 is like what happened for a few people. 4 is what happened for most. And then Hamilton, I think, was the only one with 6 pit stops because he just had a lot of drama going on. It just was not a great race. Not a good look for the strategy. I don't even think it was strategy. It was just a mess.
I think that one mistake, put him in the...
Yeah, it was a mess.
Had he hit the wall yet? Or are we getting to that?
So I think, he's hit the wall. I'm not sure what laps he did. I think he spun twice.
I think he did it right after Leclerc, because if you watch the replay,
yeah.
Leclerc's beached. Okay, so
that might be
where the...
that was the first time. No, that's the second time. Hamilton spun three times.
Oh, 3 times?
I think 3 times during this race. I think he spun once before, and that put him on the back foot. And then he went in.
But he was still leading the race at that point, the first... Because I thought he was still leading up until Leclerc.
No, he was not leading at Leclerc at the point where he spun into or beached himself with Leclerc. But he didn't beach himself, but he spun over there in that same direction.
Yeah, he did almost the exact same thing. He just got lucky and had more momentum.
He had a better angle, more momentum, and he was able to keep it going. But it took off his front wing, which then led him to try to jump into the pits. And instead of kind of driving backwards-ish on the track.
Can you even do that?
I'm pretty sure it's a lot worse. Yeah.
He would have to go all the way around, right?
Yeah, you cannot drive backwards on the track.
Yeah.
That's like an immediate race ban or something. Like, they'll ban you for the next race.
Yeah.
So you might even be banned for the rest of the season. But, he just decided to cut across into the pit, which, ultimately, a 5-second time penalty is better than driving around the whole track. It would save you lose less time, and it's safer. It's safer if you do that versus driving around the track with a front wing on a wet track that doesn't have any grip. It was just a better choice. But he did ultimately get penalized with a 5-second time penalty for not going around the bollard or whatever it is.
Yeah, so the pit lane. At the same time he's coming into the pit lane, everyone else is coming into the pit lane, and then Verstappen goes into the pits, changes his tires. I don't remember off the top of my head what tires he went on to.
I think back to intermediates.
Yeah, because everyone was struggling with the
softs and mediums. Yep.
So, and then he sits in the pit for Hamilton for like 35 seconds while they're trying to figure out what tires to put on.
They're trying to fix his wing. They're trying to get the right tires.
Yeah. And then, so while the camera's focusing on him, Verstappen has pit, and now is taking the lead.
Yep.
And then, that was the story of the race right there. That 30-second pit stop.
It was insane.
Yeah.
It was just,
and there was so much going on. Everyone was pitting.
So I watched the end of the race and then the beginning of the race because I woke up late and had to wait for it to finish to rewind it and whatnot. When I turned on the TV at like lap 42, I saw Verstappen leading, followed by Kvyat and then Lat Stroll, and I was like, what in all hell is going on right now? Like, Hamilton was down to like 14th place, and Stroll was up in 3rd with 20 laps to go. I was like, this is, in what world am I? I thought I was dreaming still.
We need more wet races.
Right.
I like what the commentators were saying earlier in the season. Just turn on the sprinklers. Let's just make the track wet before the race starts. Let them deal with it.
Exactly. And so after this, now we've got Verstappen, Kvyat, Stroll, Hamilton, Bottas, and then I think behind Bottas, I'm not sure who was behind Bottas, but then we have Vettel just like 7 laps or 7 in 7th place or something like that, or 6th.
Yeah, he's slowly coming back up.
He had a great race. I mean, he was charging through the field, but it was just overlooked by all the drama and commotion that was going on. And of course, him coming up through the field was helped by all the safety cars. So, but we had
But I mean, that's not to be like, if it was all a dry track, I would have expected him, even though he started in 20th, I would have expected him to finish in like 7th or 6th.
Yeah, I would have expected him to be able to get up to
pass all the other teams.
He should have been able to make it to the podium position. Like, he should have been able to make it to fight for podiums, but he was fighting for podiums like 20 laps early.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
great drive from him, of course. And then, so now we had Bottas. So Hamilton's out of the points, right? And has a 5-second time penalty. And then, I think shortly after that pit stop, Hamilton spun again on turn 1. So, yeah, on the first corner, lap 53, Hamilton's maybe like 13th or 14th place. And then he spins out in turn 1, but manages to save it again. But this time he ruined his tires. He like shredded his tires going through that, all the gravel and just the spin. And I guess maybe he was thinking about going for fastest lap point. So he did a pit stop again, which another 18 seconds plus the 5-second time penalty. So now it's looking like Bottas has a chance to close the gap to Hamilton in the championship lead. Because you got to remember,
get up in the points.
Verstappen, Leclerc, Vettel, them finishing this race and Hamilton finishing out of points doesn't matter to Hamilton because they're so far behind that he's still going to have a solid lead on the championship season.
Yeah,
but
he was
Bottas,
100 points going into this race?
Yeah. But Bottas, he was only ahead by like 30-ish, some in the 20s or maybe 30 points ahead of Bottas. So if Bottas could have closed the gap drastically with Hamilton completely out of the points.
Yeah.
And he bended 2 laps after Hamilton spun out a lap on turn 1. He spun out in the exact same spot and went right into the wall.
Like the last 2 corners and then in turn 1, Mercedes kryptonite over there.
It was, the last 2 corners was everyone's kryptonite.
Well, yeah.
And then turn 1 was Mercedes kryptonite. Yeah. They were the only team I saw go wide ever in that corner because Bottas went wide in the very start of the lap. Or start of the race, and then both drivers spun out over there as well. It's like,
it's crazy,
and you don't see Hamilton making mistakes. And he had about 3 or 4 driver errors during this race, which is insane. So he was not as uncharacteristically not like him at all. So,
yeah, you can't make those kind of mistakes especially with the wet track,
right? And so, Toto Wolff was visibly upset when Bottas crashed out because, I mean, there goes all the points. Hamilton was finishing outside the points. At this point, there was only 2 laps left. Or no, he did that at lap 57. There was maybe like 6 or 7 laps left. And that was it. And Hamilton was still too far back to fight for a 10th place spot. So that was all of Mercedes points out the window.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But again, they're still so far ahead that it's not going to, it is money to them though. That's
true.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then I guess the last person to go out, which was kind of like the most nobody really cared. Sorry, Pierre Gasly, but he was running out at like 7th place or 8th place or something like that, somewhere he shouldn't have been.
Getting passed
behind a Toro Rosso.
Yeah, Albon passed him. And then he's like, "What's going on here? I got to get past this guy."
Yeah,
and then totally makes a mistake. I think Albon was defending.
Well, so that
turned in a little bit.
That's debatable.
Yeah,
because it did look like Albon made a late move.
Yeah, it looked a little late to me.
But it also wasn't a move into the braking zone, so it's totally fine.
Yeah,
but it was a defending move. But the question is,
it was his first move, I think.
Yeah, let's say the question is, did he make 2 moves?
Yeah,
because you can only make 1 move when you're defending. You got to choose your line and stay there. So the person behind you can make as many moves as they want. They go left, right, left, right, left, right.
He just chose a little bit too late.
Yeah.
He should have done it a little bit earlier.
Right. So it just and then Pierre Gasly ended up picking up a puncture and out of the race,
off the track,
not looking good, especially when just the last race he did so well in the Red Bull. And I think even qualifying, he did decent enough. He was not too far off of Verstappen.
Yeah, he's definitely looking like he's getting more comfortable in that.
And the rain just made him look bad.
Yeah,
unfortunate. Man. Unfortunate. So that.
And then was Hulkenberg, I think, was the only other.
We talked about Hulkenberg.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, he beat you at the penultimate corner as well. So let's see. We had Hulkenberg, Leclerc, the only 2 that crashed out at the penultimate corner. And then Bottas and Gasly, or Bottas crashed out in the first corner. Gasly, he didn't spin out. He hit another car on the straight after the hairpin. So the way the race finished was with Hamilton outside the point. So this is what gets me. This is why, like, I know Bottas is just pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, this is what gets me about Hamilton and his fortune, his luck, his just the higher being that's watching over this man's life. Because he finished outside the points. And so for Bottas, it's like, all right, I crashed out, but at least I didn't lose any ground whatsoever to Hamilton. And then Alfa Romeo had to come in and just mess up the whole party for Bottas. Because Alfa Romeo got charged two 10-second penalties each. Yeah, two 10-second penalties each onto, or something like that. And they got tagged on 30 seconds because I think they added the 10 seconds to like a pit stop time or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But they got 30 seconds to each car, and they finished in 7th and 8th on the track. But due to the penalty, they got pushed down to like 11th and 12th, and they promoted Hamilton and Kubica, who got his first point. So we're going to talk about that. We promoted Hamilton up into the points. So now, even when Bottas thinks that he hasn't lost any ground to Hamilton, Hamilton comes in and picks up 2 extra points just to rub the dirt in the wound, or rub salt in the wound, just to like say like, I'm still going to extend my lead of the championship by 2 points on Bottas, which I know I would have been pissed if I was Bottas. I'd have been like, you've got to be like messing with me.
And then Bottas is still, I mean, they're still talking about him maybe not even coming back next year. Like, he's still up in the air on that team. He needs to do as well as he can.
It's going to depend on, I mean, they can't judge him off of this race because it was crazy.
Yeah.
But it's going to depend on his second half of the season and what he does.
I think even sooner than that, maybe next week, and then we're going, after next week, it's going into the summer break.
The break, yeah.
And then maybe the first couple of races after the summer break, because they're going to want to get that contract down.
True.
So, yeah.
It is going to determine what he does, but I don't know. I personally wouldn't put Ocon in the car over Bottas. I would try to find another seat for Ocon.
Yeah, Bottas has had such a resurgence, I guess, and has done so well this year and shown that he's up there.
Yeah,
that I think you stick with him. And there's also talk about them loaning out Ocon to another team. Yeah,
that's what they need to do because for me it's that Bottas and Hamilton play well together. They will race each other, but they're both good enough drivers to not hit one another and crash out like Rosberg and Hamilton did a few times, right? Whereas you don't know if Ocon will do that. So he might be saying it. Of course, he's probably telling them what they want to hear. Like, I'll play nice. I'll be this number 2 driver. I'll try to go for second, first. I'll try to get, as many points as possible. But you don't know how he's going to drive next to Hamilton and how he's going to drive at the top end of the sport with the Ferraris and the Red Bulls in the mix. So personally, I would leave Bottas in there because he's been doing so solid this season. But also, I do like Ocon. I enjoy him as a driver, so I want to see him back on the grid. So we'll see. I'm not going to be mad if he gets I'm not a Bottas fan, so I'm not going to be mad if Bottas isn't racing next year.
It would be good to see Ocon in the Mercedes, but hopefully they can find a team for him and then keep Bottas around in the Mercedes.
Right. So. All right. So because of all that drama in the race and all the people crashing out, it was so hard to keep track of all the other battles that was going on.
Oh, dude.
I mean,
all over the place.
Yeah, it was just, there was so much going on with retirements that, I mean, the drivers didn't even have that much time to battle one another because there was safety car after safety car after safety car after safety car. But I do remember a certain 2 drivers battling that I know a team principal did not want battling whatsoever.
Yeah, speaking of teammates battling each other, the Haas boys.
That's who I'm talking about.
Roman Grosjean and then Magnussen.
What are they doing?
Yeah, there needs to be team orders coming down.
Yeah.
Stay away from each other.
I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, Grosjean looked like he went a little wide. Now, he did go wide into that hairpin, but that could be because of the wetness of the track. Mm-hmm. But Magnussen did kind of turn in on him a little bit. I don't know. They shouldn't even.
It shouldn't. Yeah. No, you shouldn't be running into each other if you're on the same team.
Especially after what happened the last race.
Yeah. So they just need to stay away from each other.
Could you imagine if they crashed each other out again? If that touch,
oh my God,
because that was about the same type of touch that happened in Britain, and it gave them punctures and put them out of the race. Can you imagine if that happened again?
I would kind of want to see that, like just to see what Steiner would do. He would flip out.
I tell you this much: I think they recently renewed Drive to Survive on Netflix for a season 2, and I can't wait to see.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Gunther Steiner around the British GP and just how upset he was.
Oh, yeah.
When he hears some more F-bombs dropped.
Dude, I love that series. This race, hopefully they highlight this race during that that series. It'll be fun to watch, especially everything like behind the scenes and everything you can't see.
All the craziness.
Oh, yeah.
What else did we not talk about? Oh, Leclerc. We talked about Leclerc's unsafe release. Yeah, we did. We did talk about that. I mean, that's really. I guess the kind of bit of news right before the race is that they did change the DRS zones during the right before the race weekend. So there originally were 3 DRS zones, but I think maybe a day or two before the race weekend began, they took away the DRS zone before on the start-finish straight. So I don't know if you noticed that.
Okay. Yeah, so there was technically 3, but it was like counted as 1, right? And they just took away that.
No,
half?
It was 3.
It was 3.
Yeah, it was 3 different, and it had 3 different detection points. It wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It wasn't like. Actually, I don't think. Yeah, they're just like any track. It was 3 separate ones, and they took away the first one. I'm not sure why, but.
Yeah,
I mean, it was raining all weekends, or raining for the race, so it didn't matter.
Didn't really play that into it that much. I think one thing we didn't talk about. Stroll went on to soft tires. He was the first one to go on the softs, like I don't know, lap 45, 48.
Yeah,
and then and he was putting in some great times. And I think he picked up like 2 or 3 spots before everyone started pitting again. To get onto those soft tires. So
he had a great luck with his strategy.
Yeah, good call by the team on that one to go for it.
I guess we should talk about how the race ended, like the finishing order, right?
Yeah.
So we have Verstappen taking the win,
my boy,
and fastest lap point for fastest lap. So
the Dutchman,
solid, and driver of the day. So he got the kind of clean sweep there, except he didn't qualify first and FP1 and all that stuff, but solid race.
Yeah, and then I guess let's finish going through the race that we can.
Vettel made his way from 20th place all the way up to second in a crazy rodeo of a race, which is amazing for him considering he's like the mistake king.
Yeah,
but he had no pressure. I guess is the big deal. The difference is he had 0 pressure on him, and look what he did.
Yep.
Look what he can do when ain't nobody pressuring behind him. Dang, all you Ferrari fanboys out there, just look. This is your driver, the non-pressure, great finishing person.
Yeah.
So if you want to consider that the greatest of all time, you'd be dumb.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple news stories about the pressure that Ferrari is putting on Vettel. And a couple comments from people outside the teams. So okay, I guess we'll get into that a little bit later. But
right after this, yeah, all right. So let's finish up this part then. So Vettel coming in second, and then Daniel Kvyat coming in third with the Toro Rosso. So that was awesome.
2 Honda chassis up on the podium.
That's true.
Great
weekend for Honda. Yeah. Although I really wanted to see Lance Stroll up on the podium. Just.
Oh my God! I would flip
just because
not me.
Everybody giving him so much crap about his, is he a pay driver and all that stuff? Does he have the skill? Well, he got fortunate on his side this race. I didn't see him really overtake anybody. like fight with anybody. I think it was just all pit stop strategy and making the right call at the right time. But
Yeah, I think other than that, he just managed the
Yep.
race. Kind of, I feel like Vettel until the end there, he started overtaking a couple people. But Vettel kind of did the same thing. He just managed the race, didn't make any mistakes, didn't crash, and let the field kind of play out.
yeah.
And then ended up on the podium.
Yeah, man, it was solid. And then, so Lance Stroll taking fourth place, Carlos Sainz in fifth. Best result for, first of all, best result for Racing Point in a while. McLaren, best result for them this season. And then Albon taking a sixth place, which is great for Toro Rosso again. And then Grosjean, Magnussen coming in seventh and eighth. Hamilton coming in ninth. And Kubica getting his first point for Williams, which is crazy that he was ahead of Russell during this race. I don't know when that happened.
Yeah.
But he finished ahead of his teammate and that's a big deal. I mean, because Russell's been beating him all season long, but guess who got the first point and probably the only point of the season.
Right. Well, Kubica probably has some experience in racing in the rain. This is Russell's first F1 race in the rain, so.
I don't know when he switched because I'm pretty sure Russell was ahead of him for most of the race. And then somehow at the end of the race, I was like, wait, what? Just how'd that happen? When? But hey, kudos to him. And then we had Russell in 11th, followed by Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, and then all the people that didn't have. So really only 13 drivers finished the race. Jesus.
I know. That's crazy.
We almost had only the drivers in the points finish the race. That's crazy.
I can't remember when the last time that many people went out in the race.
Well, crashed out.
Yeah, it must have been another wet race.
But I know there was a US GP some years ago where only 3 cars took it was the tire. It was like a tire scandal or something.
Oh yeah.
Right, with Michelin maybe
or Bridgestone.
Yeah. And they said the tires were unsafe to race, and so all these teams dropped out, and only Schumacher and 2 other drivers took part in the race. And can you imagine watching a 2-hour 3-driver race?
Oh no, right?
I'll just find out what happened in the end because they're probably not going to battle at all,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all going to end up on the podium.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So that was the finishing order. Should we get into a bit of news?
Yeah, let's do it.
What you got, Calvin?
So let's stay on track with Vettel and all the pressure that's coming. So there was a lot of talk before the race, and that's kind of where all these comments are coming from. Most of these guys, but Nico Rosberg, right, said that Benito's comments on Vettel are brutal, and that they're putting too much pressure on Vettel to perform, and they're not looking at their car, and that the car is more set up for Leclerc's driving style as far as the rear end.
Yeah.
And
but the Ferraris, Vettel's never.
Yeah. So I mean,
But what were his comments? What comments is?
So
Rosberg
he pretty much said that the comments that Benito made.
What I don't know what comments those are.
Oh, just that he needs to perform, and that it's not really the car. Well, it is the car, and that the pressure's there, and they expect more from him. Doesn't matter what kind of vehicle they're giving him; they want him to win. He's
a 4-time world champion. He should be able to.
Which, I mean, I get that, but at the same time, your car's not there. You want your car to compete with Mercedes, build a faster car.
But it is faster. It is there. It is the best car on the track, though.
It's faster in the straight.
But it is the best car on the track. It's been the fastest car.
It's not
for most of the races. It's been the best lap times.
Not
for most
overall.
Of the races.
It's fastest as far as
they have been
straight track
dominating a lot of the race weekends with fast lap times, and every time. How often here? Put it this way.
Okay.
How often have we said
put it this way?
Wait. Put it this way. How often have we said, "Dang, Ferrari's looking real strong at this track," and then we say Hamilton takes pole position.
Yeah, they're looking real strong in practice when Mercedes is sandbagging until Hamilton goes into qualifying and then puts up it beats everyone by half a second. So
all right.
So Rosberg saying pretty much lay off, you just need to let him race.
Nah, fire Vettel. I'm sorry.
And then looks like Gene Todd, the FIA president, pretty much said the same thing. Like, hey, this is a 4-time world champion. Like, let him race. Obviously, he's human. You're giving him or putting too much pressure on him. Back off a little bit and let him figure it out, and he'll perform.
Yeah, but Ferrari brought this guy on from Red Bull as off of a championship, right? And they put him in a championship winning car, and he has not brought them a championship. He hasn't even really come close.
He says perhaps he's not always had the car to show his skills, and everyone makes mistakes under pressure. So
no, they don't.
Like,
only Vettel makes mistakes under pressure.
I mean, no.
Everyone doesn't always make mistakes under pressure.
The Vettel hate over here is strong.
Everyone does make a mistake under pressure.
Yeah.
Vettel just makes a lot of them. And
he hasn't had a good year.
A good 2 years, a good 3, a good 4 years. He hasn't had a good time with Ferrari, period. Like, not since he got to Ferrari.
This is true. But I don't know. Ever since last year, the German Grand Prix of last year,
right?
He has been on a downward slope.
Yep, true.
And they got to do something to. I mean, obviously, what they're doing is not working. I think they need to take a page out of Red Bull's book here and
give them drugs.
Yeah. No. Step back a minute. Have everyone calm down. Talk your driver through it, and then try to turn things around.
And maybe they should stop making bad strategy calls while they're at it.
Absolutely.
that would help.
I feel like Ferrari is putting a lot of blame on Vettel for his performance when
it's not all his fault.
I want to say 50% of the time it's the rest of the team's fault.
I was just about to say it's very, very much a 50% blame on the Ferrari team in general, because they have made some terrible calls on strategy.
Absolutely. So moving on in news, I think we already touched on Alfa Romeo's 30-second penalty.
Yep.
Red Bull camp is not ruling out a 2019 F1 title. I think that's wishful thinking.
2019?
Yeah.
Red Bull 2019?
Red Bull.
This season.
I don't know if this is Red Bull or if this is from Max Verstappen's, publicist, spokesperson. Okay. But they're saying he's still got it in him, but
for a championship run, whatever.
I don't know. Their thing is it's only a little bit over halfway through the season. There's plenty of races left. He's been doing good, but
Hamilton can have a monumental breakdown, just like Vettel did. Without Hamilton, the championship is up in the air between Bottas, Verstappen, and Vettel, because Leclerc, I think, has had too many issues, but without Hamilton in the mix, you would have a solid battle, 3-way battle for the championship. But with Hamilton there, it's like a 2-person battle. It's Hamilton versus whomever can come closest to Hamilton.
Mm-hmm. It's saying Hamilton, or there's only a 63-point gap with a little bit less than half the season left to race.
To Verstappen, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
225. Hamilton has 225 points. Verstappen has 162. Obviously, the race this weekend.
A lot of things would have to go. Yeah, a lot of things would have to go right for Verstappen.
Yeah,
but
he'd have to have a lot of Ferraris and Mercedes.
Yeah, I put his chances at 5 to 10%.
Yeah, I'll accept that.
So, what do we got? I think that might be all for. Oh, and Mercedes is not going to rescue the 2020 German Grand Prix. So with all those tracks making deals with the FIA to extend their contracts, it looks like the German Grand Prix is far from.
Oh, Hockenheim at least?
Yeah.
They'll probably still have one in Germany, but maybe not at their track.
Yeah, I'm sure. Which is kind of a shame because 38 years they've raced there? I don't think consecutively, but at that track. So that's a little bit of a shame, but hopefully they can work something out.
All right.
What else? I think that. Oh, and Steiner, of course, going off on his Haas boys.
Yes, he should.
Yeah, he. Something has to change was the quote from him. So we'll see what happens there. Team orders down the line. You guys are back to back. Stay away from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. No passing unless we say you can pass.
They shouldn't even come within, like, keep a car between each other.
Yeah.
Don't even not have a car between you and the other guy.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add to the news?
No, I don't have anything for the news. That was all you today. So I guess this is the end, but next race we got is going to be, I think it's next weekend. Yep, this next weekend we've got the Hungarian Grand Prix. We are not going to do a
should we do
preview race for that.
Before we get into that, should we go over
You want to lose your
predictions?
burrito bet point?
I mean, I think I'm still up by 2, so I think I got 1 to give.
Oh,
so.
dang. All right, yeah, we can do that. So,
mean,
driver of the day.
This is a mercy point right here.
Driver of the day, you went with Lando Norris. I went with Charles Leclerc. Neither one of those guys came close to driver of the day, unfortunately.
Nope.
Best of the rest, you went with Lando Norris, and I went with Carlos Sainz. And at first, I was like, yes, because he finished 5th. But then I was like, oh, wait, Kvyat and Stroll were ahead of him. So I guess technically Kvyat was best of the rest, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
So didn't get that point, even though I was like kind of spot on.
Yeah.
Finished 5th place. That's 6th place is the best of the rest position if you discount Gasly.
Yeah. I think, what do we define best of the rest as anyone other than those 3 teams,
Yeah,
right? So, yeah.
And then the first DNF, you went with Renault, and I went with Racing
close.
Point.
I was real close.
You were just, 13 laps off.
Yeah.
Had Sergio Perez not spun, it would have been Ricardo.
Damn.
But Perez went out, so that gives me a point. And that gets me the
1 step closer. And we're almost to we got 1 more race, so all you can do is tie it up, right?
That's true.
You can't take the lead going in a half, right?
That's true.
Oh,
Might as well. We can't do a preview episode for
It's going to be burritos for the recap.
Well, yeah, we should. We can't do a preview episode for the Hungarian GP, but we can do some predictions for the next race. So who you got for driver of the day?
Oh, wow. For next race? Dang. I'm going to go with Verstappen. I'm going to ride this one.
All right.
I mean, I should have never veered away from my boy
All right,
in the
all right.
beginning, so.
I'm going to stick with Leclerc. I'm going to hope that he has a comeback.
All right,
A resurgence after this weekend. He's a little upset.
Solid choices.
Best of the rest. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Norris.
Norris. All right. Sticking with him. I'm going to go with Carlos Sainz. So we pretty much kept our
I mean, we have done a complete 180 on McLaren. From
100%. They're always going to be best of the rest now.
We're such bandwagon fans. Oh, they suck. They're terrible. Oh no, they're the best ever.
And then who you got for first DNF? This for Hungary.
I'm gonna keep riding the Renault wave. I'm like, they rub me the wrong way, so
Oh man.
garbage.
Oh man. I'm gonna say that Gunther Steiner's gonna have a real bad day. This coming weekend.
You know what? That's actually that's a good prediction.
Yep. See, Renault, they already had an engine failure, so Ricardo's not. The next engine should be fine. Hopefully.
Yeah, let's see. Hopefully, it's defective out of the crate. I mean,
Dang, you wish that upon Ricardo, man. That's mean.
Nah, I love Ricardo. I like Ricardo a lot. It's the team.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Bad blood.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even know why I don't like Renault that much.
Do you like French people?
It's funny.
Do you have a problem with French people?
No, not at all. Salt of the earth.
There are allies, right? Like they helped us
absolutely.
out in the revolution. So
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And
then we went to war with them after that.
we got their back. Oh yeah. I mean, we just don't count that one. But no, I which is funny because I loved Renault back when they had the old like 2003, 2004, the
blue
old
cars?
teal, yeah, the teal blue
yeah.
car, yeah. And then I don't know what happened. Maybe I just don't like. Oh man, what's his name? Who's the team principal?
Oh,
That whole Renault Red Bull. Maybe because I'm such a Red Bull fanboy. That battle between
yeah, I can't think of his name either.
over the engines, and that in Drive for the Netflix show.
Oh, Drive to Survive?
Drive to Survive, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that could have just been the show painting a bad picture, putting a bad taste in my mouth. But
Yeah, and I think they said that. They said that that it was, that they really played it up.
Some creative
more
editing.
Than it was,
Yeah.
more than it was. It's Cyril.
I can see that.
Cyril Abitable, that's his name.
Yeah, I got caught up in it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good show.
Yeah, I love the drama.
All right.
Yeah.
So, join us next weekend for the review of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Mm-hmm. That one's
Should we post, do some practice laps during the week, and we'll post them on the Instagram?
Yes, we should.
Put some times up there?
Yes, we should. Ours is going to be vastly different, though, because 2019 is just totally different than 2018 F1.
Okay.
I deleted F1 2018, though. I deleted, I could probably load it back in.
Malik's putting an asterisk on his time, so he, just in case I actually do beat him, he has an excuse.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not going to happen, but he's setting it up.
I can maybe throw in there. I still have the game. I can re-download it. So we'll see. It's gonna be a close to home race for me because my brother lives there right now. He's from there, and my brother's there. All my nieces and nephews are there this weekend. So maybe they're gonna go to the race. I should tell them go to the race this weekend. But
give us some pictures.
Right. All right. So that's it. As always, you can look us up on Instagram, Starting Grid USA. Email us at startinggridusa@gmail.com, and make sure you subscribe and, leave us a comment or something. Reach out.
Absolutely.
All right.
Ciao.